Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of Food School Smarter, Stronger, Leaner podcast on a mission to inspire a world where food makes us better. And of course, guys, when it comes to health and fitness, it's not just about food, it's also about lifestyle, and it's also about exercise. And guys, all of you exercise and fitness fans or somebody who aspires to be an exercise and fitness fan, I have an amazing surprise for you. I have today with me Kylie Gates. You get to listen to our conversation. And guys, who is Kylie Gates? She's actually who I consider to be a true fitness influencer and somebody who helped to shape our fitness industry worldwide. So Kylie Gates, a lifelong athlete from Australia, one of the creative brains, geniuses behind what I consider to be the best fitness app, the best fitness program classes in the world. Less meals, workouts. You get to look like an athlete without having to train like one. If you're guys about efficiency, less meals workouts. When this whole pandemic started, I started to work out at home with less meals. And I've been doing that for the past, 8, 9 months, a year. I already lost track of time. And I got into the best shape of my life. I really feel and look the best, of course, from my perspective, but I do believe that less meals workouts are one of a kind workouts. So Kylie Gates, she's been with Les Mills 25 plus years. She's a creative director behind many of the programs. She shapes and develops the music and moves, helps to shape and develop the music and moves that feature in the new releases, which are created every 3 months. She's also a key role as a BODYPUMP Head Program Coach, which means she mentors and inspires instructors and presenters to reach their full potential. So in our chat today, guys, you get to learn how Les Mills programs got to be world-class leaders in the industry. What's the science? How do they at Les Mills make sure that workouts are effective for our health, fitness 360, body and mind, short and long term? What about the addictive fitness part? Why do so many people, I'm in those people, becoming raving fans and lifelong followers of Les Mills workouts? What about Kylie's personal fitness? How does she train to maintain a 30-year-old body in her 50s? Guys, if you ask me, who do I want to look like when I'm in my 50s? Kylie, that's who. What about Kylie's nutrition that helps her to stay super fit and super energetic for all the life demands and crazy workout schedules, teaching, traveling around the world, being a coach and a creative director, teaching classes, being a wife? How does she do all of this? You get to learn what Kylie eats for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and what's her whole nutrition strategy. What are some mind-body rituals Kylie never skips to keep herself grounded? What does Kylie consider to be the most important principle for a lifelong health, fitness results and continuous progress towards your personal success story, towards your full potential? So guys, tune in and let me present to you Kylie Gates, one-of-a-kind fitness superstar. Les Mills on Demand, Kylie Gates, creative brain behind a lot of programs, and also head coach, and just overall an amazing fit, healthy person, influencer coach. So Kylie Gates, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. That was just a beautiful intro, and I love the way you explained about Les Mills programs, and that's so, it's so on point. I mean, you represent an athlete, but you don't have to train like one. I was an athlete in my day, and 6 hours a day. I don't do that anymore, that's for sure. So really happy to be here and finally to connect with you, Angela.
Yeah, thank you, Kylie, for for your time and for the opportunity to talk with you, and also being able to hear your story. A little bit more of your journey. So, where are you now, by the way? What country? What part of the world? Because I know Les Meals.
Yeah.
You travel with them all over the world.
Yeah, I'm based in Auckland, New Zealand, and so for the last, I guess it's coming up 12 months, we haven't been able to travel, so just traveled, but we've been able to connect, and I think for me, excuse me, personally, COVID has really emphasized the fact that we don't have to travel all the time, and I was doing a lot of traveling like the last 6 years, a lot, and it is quite exhausting, to be honest. It's amazing to meet so many people, but I think through these online platforms, I think we can make big connections and still, have the mix of both. I think in a perfect world, I'd love to have be able to travel again and go to countries and definitely do live events, because they are the bomb. They're the best to do live events and connect with all the consumers and all the instructors. So we'll see what 21 holds, but we are planning to do, some live streams coming up next weekend. So we do lots of events where we're out there still connecting with everyone. Yeah. But based in New Zealand right now, and we're doing pretty good over here. So we're no complaints from my end.
Okay, yeah, it's good to hear. I'm in UK, in London, and it's one lockdown after another. But I think we are still doing pretty good, even though
Yeah,
in
you
lockdown
guys
all
are
the
doing
time.
better now, improving, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
with the vaccines and everything, so it's getting better. Um, and let's get back to your story a little bit. You've been with Les Meals for over 30 years, if I know correctly. So how did your journey start? Where did you start
Okay.
before Les Meals, and how did you end up there?
Yeah, I've been in the fitness industry for 30 years. This is my 30th year of teaching. So prior to Les Mills, so I think I've been with Les Mills about 25 years. So for the first sort of 5-6 years, I was actually a freestyle instructor. My background is a professional dancer. I was a showgirl. I started that before I was 18. So my parents let me go away overseas, and I traveled in a Perth-based dance company, basically a cabaret dancer. And I did that for about 7 years. And so from my background of dance and music and movement every day, when I came home, I actually went to a small aerobic studio. They poached me and kind of said, would you like to be an instructor? And I was like, okay. I actually didn't really know much about it at the time. And, I knew it was really busy and popular, and it was called aerobics in those days. And so I did my course, and kind of the rest is history, because of my dance ability, I could choreograph. And I think that's one of the things that really accelerated me quite quickly, in that I could choreograph lots of complex, kind of not dance routines, but aerobic routines that people really wanted to do and explore. So I accelerated through that. And then in 1995, I was at the fitness convention in Sydney, Australia. And that is where I saw Body Pump for the first time. And I took the class, and I was like pretty much blown away because the guys on stage were all from New Zealand, and they were really tanned, and they were in amazing condition. Like, their bodies looked amazing. They loved what they did. Some of them actually had sunglasses on, which was quite funny. But the music was amazing, and the workout was so cool. And other than when I was an athlete, I hadn't really done weight training to music. So it was a whole new concept. And after the class, I got talking to the guys, and because I knew one of the guys that was with me from Perth, he was connected to them all. So we met them. And pretty much, it was kind of like, okay, you're going to be the pump trainer in Perth, Australia. So yeah, I did that, and then I accelerated quite quickly into a master trainer for Les Mills. And then I went to the Canberra head office I think I'm trying to think, that was probably around 3 or 4 years later. I went to the Canberra office and became the training manager. So the training manager is the person that looks after all the trainers. All the trainers train the instructors. So I did that for many years, and then also working with Les Mills International. So I guess I was, before I based myself in New Zealand for the last 6 years, I've been kind of working on and off with the Les Mills International as a coach and as a presenter for about 15 years. So, but through Les Mills, I mean, I've been many places, traveled so many places around the world, and it's definitely it's the highlight of my career. I mean, Les Mills, I have my own why. We are obviously, as a company, have a why, and it is to create a fitter planet. But for me personally, I have my own why, and through my love of movement and being able to really connect your mind into your body, that's been a big journey for me. Yeah, from when I started, and that's obviously changed as I've developed and changed as a teacher, and definitely gotten older. You have to get wiser, I think, as you get older. So you may lose a bit of your fitness, but I think my mindset has changed a lot in fitness. I mean, I know when I started, it was definitely all about being the strongest and the fittest, and now it's more about health. So, my mindset has changed quite a lot in that aspect. But yeah, Les Mills is such an incredible company. I do what I do because I want people to experience having a better life. It's really, really simple. I just think that when you are healthy, you make healthy decisions, and therefore, in everything that you do. So it just has this ripple effect, and you become a role model for people. I see on the Les Mills On Demand and all these people that, have changed their body shape. So physically they've changed, mentally they've changed, and then emotionally they've changed as well. And then it has this ripple effect that just goes on and on to so many people. And, this is what it's about, creating a positive impact on people's lives, and I guess really kind of helping people to realize that anything is possible. Like, often there's that mindset a little bit of that mindset that's closed, that, I couldn't do that. But I come from that open mindset of anything is possible, and keeping it positive, just staying in that positive stuff, because everyone can get a little bit down or get a bit negative, but I think, if you can really stay in that positive mindset, it's going to set you apart, and it's going to give you that platform to be able to really, have a great life. And I think at the end of the day, as humans, we just all want to be happy. So
yeah, definitely.
So it's a great company. I love it. It's I've got my dream job. It's my dream job. And I say that to Jackie all the time. I never take it for granted. I think that's something, I had a little bit of a health issue last year, and that kind of woke me up to realize again, you've got to be doing.
If you don't mind sharing?
What's that?
Interrupt. What was it, if you don't mind sharing?
A health issue?
Yes.
I have actually my renal artery is quite narrow. So it was causing high blood pressure, which was obviously very concerning for me, being so health and fit. And it was, so we've found what it was, and I have to have like just a small little operation where they can widen the artery. So, but it, things like that can sort of stop you, I think, in your tracks, almost like, oh my goodness, what's happening, and to realize that, I think it's just a good check-in. For me, it was a check-in. For me, I can only speak from my experience of going into hospital, and that's the first time I've had anything. I am in my 50s, but it's the first time that I've experienced anything. And it was like, whoa, okay, am I doing what I wanted to be doing? Am I living my life with purpose? And it just sort of gave me that check-in that, you know, I so missed my classes and I missed work and I missed the people. But I knew health is absolutely number one. It has to be. If you don't have your health, you have nothing. So that's, you know, I experienced that firsthand. And I think that's when you do, you know, because it's easy to take your health and fitness for granted. And I think, you know, when I look back, I think I used to probably take it for granted. But as you get older, you realize how much more important it is, you know, to stay mobile, to stay really active, to eat really well, all of the, and it's holistic. It's all those things together. It's not just one thing or the other thing. But having that little health scare was, it was pretty big for me. Because I'd never had anything like that. But I did have some kidney problems about 7 years ago, and they never really found out what it was. So now at least I've actually got to the root cause and we can do something about it. So feeling good about that.
I think, you know, fitness has this power to help you realize that a lot of things are in your hands. Like when you take care of yourself, when you don't give up, you know, when you work on yourself, a lot of things can be fixed or can be made better. Like even any health problem, you know, it's one thing to have some health problem and just do nothing about it and make it worse. It's another thing to manage it and make it better. I think when you're in good fitness shape and fit mindset, you become that person who always trying to create the best solution, the best outcome, the best situation, and who understand that it's possible, that a lot of things are in our power.
Yeah, absolutely.
So thank you for sharing this. I'm 33 years old, and in my, you know, among people my age, there are not so many health problems yet. But I'm always trying to explain to people my age that, you know, in 20, 30 years, you'll want to experience life just as much as you do want now. But if you do nothing about it now, about your health and fitness, in 20, 30 years, it's not going to look good. Like if you just take it for granted and do nothing.
So it's great that, you know, you are young and you're out there really trying to get that message out, because absolutely. And I have a lot of young people in my classes. I kind of look younger than what I am.
Definitely.
I am actually 55, but I, you know, through my health and fitness, I keep a young mindset. You know, I think age doesn't bother me. It's how your mind is, you know, and I think, but where I can, I have this platform when I teach, and I think for me, it's really important to try and spread my message around health and fitness and holistic and mindset as much as I can, especially in my classes, in my day-to-day classes. And I have a lot of young people that come to those, and, you know, they do listen, which is great. And they follow me on Instagram and things like that. So, you know, I appreciate that. And I think I just want to help those people as much as I can.
And you do, you know, you inspire a lot. Like when I look at you, I'm like, I want to be like this, you know, when I'm 55. I don't mind getting older as long as I look and feel like that. So
well, you got to, that's the thing, is starting now, because as you get older, your muscles create memory, and they know, you know, I actually don't trainers definitely not as hard as I used to. I train less. You know, I think I have more. I'm more consistent with my nutrition.
So
what it is.
If you don't mind sharing, you know, among our listeners and also my clients, there are a lot of women in 40s and their 50s, and a lot of them think, because probably that's how our society portrays it, they think that their best like years are behind them, and now everything is harder, like weight loss and staying fit, you know, and they just should kind of give up or at least try to maintain what they have now. So could you share maybe a little bit of your, you know, routine, your nutrition, everything, your well-being different routines, and habits that
Sure.
especially I think important and allow you to maintain that great of a shape, body, mind.
Well, I think the biggest thing that I have really done in my training and the training side of it is that I do mostly strength training and body weight conditioning stuff, because that is how my body responds. Excuse me, my body responds best to that. So I need that resistance. I need that push. So I don't do a lot of cardio. I probably did earlier, like in my 20s. 30s and the 40s, it got less and less. So, and that's really the key for me, I think, is finding out what, look, I think you got to do what you love. I think that's really important, because you're not going to stick at it if you don't find the thing that you love. So I love to do weight training, and I love that buzz it gives me. And when I say weight training, it's body pump. That's my weight training. Other than when I was an athlete, I've never really done, specific weight training in the gym. Everyone thinks I do. They all think that I lift a lot of weight. But it's actually my shape is from Body Pump. It's a Body Pump body. And the other two programs I do is CX Works, which is the core. And I cannot speak more about that program. I mean, it's just brilliant. We started, I think it's like, maybe it's 10 years now, but anyway, before I started doing the core program, I remember thinking, oh, I'm pretty strong in my core already. And then I did it, and I think everybody experiences that when they do the class. And it used to be called CX Works. It's now called Les Mills Core. The first time they do it, it's like, oh my goodness, this is so hard. So I do a lot of that, and I pretty much do the classes. Obviously, my classes that I teach 7 classes a week. 6 classes a week. What am I saying? And then I body balance as well. And then I do 2 grits a week. So that's kind of the grit is, I guess, I really believe the science behind the HIIT training, and I know that it's important for me to still continue my power as I get older. So my reaction and being able to move quite quickly, have that. So yeah, it's definitely, I can't move as quick as I used to, but I'm still up there doing my grit classes. I love to do the athletic ones because that's more about power and power and strength. So I do 3 pumps. I do 2 CX Works classes, and I try and make them the 45-minute ones because I love the extra that we have in there. And then I do 2 grits, and I do body balance pretty much. Well, I teach 2 body balance a week, and then I try and do yoga pretty much every day. Okay. And so that was sort of getting me to I see yoga. So I am a qualified yoga teacher. I'm not practicing right now because I have too many jobs. But I love taking yoga class. But I just love doing my own practice at home, just kind of getting the mat out, and then I just see what my body wants to do. And this is a way of me connecting. The biggest reason why I do yoga is so I can connect back into myself, to really tune into my heart and what's going on. And I'm actually doing the yoga practice, but I'm moving and I'm meditating at the same time. So I have this sort of body balance, and I can just do the on demand even, because then I'm not having to think, when I do Les Mills on demand, I'm not having to think. I can just follow the teacher and zone out. And then I have my own yoga experience, breathing, moving, and meditating. So that's a thing that I do that really, my husband will always say to me, if I haven't done some yoga, he'll say, you need to go do some yoga. So it's kind of that, it's just something that grounds me. It brings me back to what's important. And, I find it really, really hard to understand why people wouldn't want to do yoga, because it just makes you feel so good. My husband is not a real big lover of body balance, and I really don't understand that. I find it because stretching and doing yoga poses, it just, it's releasing tension in your body. I mean, there's science around it, and it's shifting energy, and, because we manifest so much energy and it can really block you, and so when you have those blockages in your body, it goes to your brain. So for me, it's like if everybody did yoga, we would have a better world, right?
Yeah,
that's my
definitely.
thinking. Yeah. So because I know that the yoga is the physical, but it's also the mental, and then there's the spiritual. And for me, I've had a really, really big journey with yoga, particularly over the last, I did my training in 2010. So, the last 10 years, it almost gives me this, as I say, it's just this thing like a faith. It's like a faith for me. It's a thing that grounds me back to who I am and what's important. And, sometimes we can get so sort of lost in what's going on in the world and so many different things that it just grounds me back to being present and to what's important. Yeah. So that's kind of my training. Training, and sort of, and it's not just physical. I think that's the key that I'd love to get out, that it's mental as well. So having those, the yoga practice is what really helps my mind. The other couple of things that really help my mind are the journaling. I do quite a bit of journaling, and I am a coach as well. So I have a coach, and I coach people, and it's transformational coaching. So it's having conversations and being able to partner with those people and help them reach their full potential as a person. Yeah. And when you fully experience a coaching conversation, it's different to a normal conversation where, there's the banter going forward and back. It's like, basically the coach is the person that can ask these powerful questions. And that's really important for me to have the coaching, every week, because that really helps me to reflect and see where I'm at. And then there's so much growth. So that's kind of the other stuff that I do for my mind, and that's really important for me. And then what I feed my body is super important. And that's, I've taken a real journey through that as well over the years. I think, the biggest thing, I was thinking about this before the podcast, is that I pretty much just eat real food, and I don't eat packaged food. I used to, and I think I was so busy, and I used to just think, oh, these protein bars or these, so-called health bars were good. And then I sort of got to that point in my 40s where it was kind of like, I'm not actually losing. How come I'm doing all this exercise? I'm training so much. I'm eating really well, but I've just got this kind of extra, for me, extra body fat that I didn't want to carry. And going back, and I think the big thing is to educate yourself and do the research, because there's so much controversy out there around nutrition. But for me, it's just like, I could tell you what I eat in a day, because I'm also very much eat the same thing.
So please do share also your routine.
Okay. So breakfast, I always have eggs. So I have an omelet, and that's pretty much sardines. I have sardines because they're so good for you.
Yeah.
And then I have vegetables. I always have vegetables, sardines, vegetables, eggs. I have 2 or 3 eggs, and then I have some goat's cheese, because I do like a little bit of dairy. So I have that as well. That's my breakfast. And then I don't snack. So I used to snack all the time and sort of be grazing, whereas now I have a good meal, and I feel satisfied, I think is the word. I feel really satisfied, and I'm not looking for extra food. I'm not craving extra food. And we know that can come from, sometimes processed food or too much sugar, and then you're craving carbohydrates. So for me, that's my breakfast. For lunch, I tend to have, and dinner, I have the same. I sort of have a protein. So whether it's like a piece, I have fish, I have chicken, I have meat, I have everything. And I have a protein, and then I have some carbohydrate. I tend to have more like pumpkin or kumara, that sort of thing, as my carbohydrate. I make a paleo bread, which is quite incredible. Gluten-free, dairy-free one. But Yeah, so I have vegetables or salad with a protein, and the same for lunch, same for dinner. Now, after dinner, sometimes I always want something sweet, and that's always been my downfall, is looking for that little, yeah. But I always thought I was kind of had an allergic reaction to dairy, so I stayed off dairy. But then I've been experimenting with lots of different foods, and now I have Greek yogurt, and no problem, no rashes or anything. I was getting a rash, but I thought it was from dairy, but it wasn't.
I think,
So I think
actually,
it's.
I actually today made a post, a couple of them, that dairy is not all created equal. Like, for example, if you take fermented dairy and compare it to milk, it's completely different because the proteins and fats are changed by the bacteria. And, of course, they eat all the lactose in that that's fermenting. So I'm the same. I have a lot of reactions to like milk or also a lot of cheeses, but kefir and yogurt, no problems.
So I love yogurt. I might have a little bit of dark chocolate, but I try and make my own little sweets as well that I do. And I do like a little protein ball or something, and yeah, but I home make them. So I think that's, for me, it's a good thing because that you're getting all the good oils, fats, all that sort of stuff, rather than, when you go out all the time, you actually don't know, what you're eating. So my husband and I do tend to eat a lot at home and cook ourselves. But I've really gone back to just, real food. It's kind of, I feel like I've always gone almost full circle with it. But the big thing is that I just eat meals, and every 4 to 5 hours is what I sort of work on. I'm not like a big breakfast. I don't get up and I'm starving. I tend to, and I don't fast, but I don't really eat till usually around 9 or 10 o'clock in the morning.
And what,
so I sort of,
curious, what's the time usually your last meal?
Yeah, I try and keep my last meal before 8 p.m. I have done the fasting before, and I feel that is actually very easy for me to do. Fairly easy to do a 16 and 8 sort of fasting window. But I like to not eat too late because of sleeping, and you want to have had your meal. Depends on classes and things like that, but I try and definitely not having anything after 8 if it's not that I really, but sometimes when it's rehearsals and things, I get home late, I might just have a couple of eggs, just have something really light.
Well, that's good routine, seems, and I think that's what will work for most people, like whole foods, regularity in your meals, in your exercise, in your lifestyle. That's not complicated.
And I think the biggest thing that I do is I monitor. When I'm eating, I'm writing down what I've had. So I've played around with lots of different things because my body does react differently, and it is my gut can be quite sensitive if I get, so I think that's a key thing, is to find out what works for you, the same with the exercise, it's finding out what works for you. And then once you've found that formula, you just stick with it because it works, And look, there's going to be days where you're doing something different or you're eating something different, but my gut will always tell me always. Like even the other day I had something because we were at the filming, and there was some lunches, but it had some sauces in there that didn't agree with me. So I think the key is, it was like, I know sort of where my limits are. Just stick to it.
Find what works and stick with that. If you don't mind, I'd like to switch gears a little bit and talk a little bit more about less meals, because I just become such a huge fan, especially with this lockdown when all the gyms closed. That was basically the only thing that I started doing. That was basically the only option. And I didn't expect to get in such a great shape. Like, I honestly can say that I'm in the best shape of my life. And, you mentioned, for example, core, like that's the first time when I feel like I have like my core really strong, like, from all sides, like the obliques, the, front and back. And the same, I do love pump and I do love grit. And I just experienced how my fitness improved on all levels. And, and my muscles, I expected to lose quite a lot, but I'm actually gaining muscle, not losing it. And I, read quite a lot of information on the website about Les Mills programs, but could you tell me and our listeners about, maybe more about the programs, how you create them, about the science, like what are maybe criteria? A lot of times I would hear doing pump, like time and attention, and I'm like, I kind of understand what it means, but I'd like to learn more about it.
Yeah. So, I mean, there is so much information. Well, well done that you are in the best shape of your life. That's great. And I think there is so much information on the website. There's so many different articles that all your listeners could go to. But I guess in a nutshell, we have kind of a formula at Les Mills. And the number one thing is that our programs are to get results. Okay. So that is the key. So that's kind of like our benchmark. That's what we're always thinking about is results. So results come before complexity. It's got to be, because obviously, the programs have been around for a long time, and some of the programs that, well, we'll use Body Pump as an example. There is that kind of thinking around, as you're doing something, that you become more and more, as you become better, it becomes more and more complex. But the thing is that with Body Pump, those exercises that we do, so we do the warm up, then we start with the squats, we do the lower body, then we do the upper body, then we do the back training, then we do the small isolated exercises, then we go back to integrated legs again, and then we finish with shoulders. That formula works. And a lot of the exercises, they've been around for centuries, squats, the big lifts that you do, squats and dead rows and deadlifts, they've been around for forever. And that's because they work. So sometimes it's like we can always think, oh, we need to do more, we need to change it up. But actually, by sticking to what the formula is, that has given us the results. And I think where we've been really smart as a company is we've really gone into the research as a company. We're the only group fitness company in the world that has a research department, a department that's really focused on doing the research so that we can give our consumers and our teachers, instructors around the world more understanding of what the products are, because then obviously as teachers they can then as like selling that to their class members, and then as consumers it gives you that deeper education and understanding of what you're actually doing, and it's and what you're going to get from it, right? Because I guess everyone is looking for that quick fix, that okay, what do I need to do to get in shape? Body Pump is incredible. Like, it really does shape your body. That whole slogan of the fastest way in the universe, it sounds sort of corny, but it does actually work. You will get in shape if you follow that. But of course it is a blend of your nutrition as well. I won't say it's not doing that, because you cannot out-train a bad diet.
Yeah, definitely.
As we all know. So, I mean, how we actually do it. So that's a little bit about, that's our number one focus is that results, what is it going to give us? And we do a lot of testing on, particularly like the GRIP program. There's a lot of testing that happens with every release, because they're changing it all the time. Whereas Pump sort of sits in that it's pretty much the same, a few slightly different changes, a few different exercises here and there. But GRIT, you'll see that it changes all the time. They get all their testing done with Dr. Ginger Gotchell, and they do all that with Bryce Hastings. And so they're doing all the testing to make sure that it is actually HIIT training, that you are actually getting into that red zone. So
I'm definitely getting there. It's the proud of,
Great.
it's like I feel like I'm almost about to die every time I do it. But
I know.
yeah,
It's a love-hate, right?
yeah, but
It's
definitely
like,
getting you in shape physically.
oh yeah. And the research behind that, I think when that came out around you only need to do 2 HIIT classes a week, everyone was like, oh, all of a sudden, because everyone's like thinks, okay, I've got to do more. See, this is the mentality. I've got to do more. Actually, less is more. So
Mhm.
even for some of the instructors, it was like you're over teaching the program. You need to be doing it physically twice a week. You'll get the results. Because at first I was actually doing it 3 times a week myself.
Mhm.
And then wondering why I wasn't hitting that red zone all the time and being in that sort of fatigue state. So that's important. If you go onto the website, you can click on all those
Mhm.
articles, and that's probably the most read article. Is that one is around the training twice a week. Yeah. So, and then a lot of the other programs sort of have we have our formulas, but they can change. They definitely change. They go with different trends. We're always updating. I think that's the biggest thing I love about Les Mills is we're always looking to be better. It's never
Yeah.
like we're never complacent, never thinking. And sometimes it's exhausting. I'm going to say it's exhausting because we have so my boss and the chief creative officer for the group fitness is Jackie Mills, and she's a legend. She's so inspirational because she's always pushing the boundary. It's always
Mhm.
like, okay, how can we do this better? What can we do next? Even the way we film the classes, all that sort of stuff. We're always looking for new innovations. And I think that's the key, one of the keys to a successful company. We have a great CEO as well. And of course, Philip Mills and Diana Mills and Les Jr. Mills are all in that company. It's a family-based company. And, we're always about pushing the boundaries and going that extra.
Mhm.
As far as like creating the products, all the products are done quite differently. But it's basically, if I can give you sort of an overview of it, it always starts with the music. So we just finished filming on Saturday and we had an email yesterday for the new music. So that kind of tells you the window that we have a couple of down days, and then we're on to the next round of releases.
Mhm.
So everything kind of works in a 12-week cycle, because we're using those first 6 weeks is to really get the class, find the music, source the music, start to do the choreography, work with the creative directors, trial and test all the classes in the clubs, make sure the things are working. And then it's sort of those, and then we film, and then it's all the back end stuff as well. So there's a lot that happens, but the first point of contact for any release is the music.
Yeah, I
That's
can.
it's
Yeah,
the
I mean,
inspiration.
music, it's I don't know, I think it's the most amazing match between music and movements in less the meals that I've
Mm,
ever
mm,
encountered. And that makes such a huge difference, because when you do the workout and you feel like you're exhausted, you're tired, but the music makes you continue and makes you push through. That is, entrains your brain, like you want to
yeah.
continue, you want to finish because of this music, and I absolutely love it. That's, I think, one of the like best features why it's so addictive to also do less meals.
Yes. Yeah. The music is a really unique selling point for us. We have our own music department and we pride ourselves on having original music and having the latest, so that people hear the song, they're like, oh, I know this
Yeah.
song, and they get into it. But as you say, it is the music that is the driver and the motivation. And it's huge, it's the biggest part, because everyone always says, oh, can you put this move in, or can you do this move? And it's like, but we create from the music. So the
Hmm.
music will give us the inspiration to, what we could do with this piece of music. So it always starts with that. And that's a team. Over the years, we've become more and more collaborative in our approach. And now we work in creative teams with a lot of the products. So we have obviously program directors who are the kind of face of the program. And then we have the creative directors like myself. But now it's kind of a blend, because it's not just like one. If we only took from one person's music repertoire, we would be quite limited. So we like to open it up and get lots of different pieces of music, different styles, different things, you know. And sometimes you hear a piece of music, you think, oh, no, I'm not sure about that. And then it ends up being an amazing piece of music. So sometimes it's good to have from, different generations as well, because, maybe an older generation would be different to a younger. Like there's so much input in the music, and we have different people inputting into that. And then from there, the choreographers go away and they work on what they're going to, do to it. And everyone's got a slightly different approach to that and how they work with the music. And some people like to do track by track. Some people like to do the whole class. So everyone's a little bit different. But basically, everything before we even go to trial at the club, we work with the creative directors. So with myself, so like Dan Cohen, for example, would work with me for the core product, and he'll be showing me the choreography. We work together and make sure it's in a really good place to go and trial. So that's really important for us, that we have a standard that, nothing, because we want the members to have a great experience. We don't want them to feel like we're trialing stuff on them that's not quite good enough. It's really important that the member experience is number one for us in New Zealand. So we never trial unless we've kind of really made sure, okay, we're ready to trial this now. So we do lots of testing. We have choreography rooms at the office. So we work from there, and we, obviously in the lockdown, we had to do it all online. So we're sort of in our garages doing it, but, we make it work. And so basically from there, once it's ready to get tried and tested, there's also a whole back end of stuff that happens with the music. Sometimes we don't always get the piece of music we want, and we've sort of created that piece of music. We have to go back to the drawing board, trial again. So there's all of that going back and forward to make it make it perfect. It has to be perfect.
Yeah, I mean,
so we have them.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that it's, every time I do the workout, I do feel like it's a world-class experience. Like this is the best thing that could have ever been created.
Yeah, Jackie, we have we have sort of a motto that we think about. It's like every class, every track has to be perfect. We don't let anything go through. And obviously this machine has been going for, group fitness with Les Moores is over 50 years, but, internationally it's like, coming up, 30 years. So, we have, we've got a formula and it works. Yeah,
definitely. I recommend it, to all of my friends, to all of my clients, and sometimes they think it's just another app. I'm like, no, this is not just another app. You just gotta give it a try and you'll understand what I mean.
Yeah, I think we have, obviously the products are simply amazing. They work. I think we've got such a variety of products as well now. Yeah. We've got lots of free stuff on the app as well. So if people want to jump on, they can just go in and get some free content. There's some little, there's even some grit workouts in there for free. So they can test it out and give it a go and see if it's something that they would get addicted to. Yeah. Because you do get addicted to it. This is such it enhances your life and it enhances you as a person. So it's kind of like, why would you not do it? And I think there's just so much for everybody. If you don't like to jump around, then try the yoga, try the body balance. Maybe it's, all the core stuff. I mean, there's, I think everybody needs to have a strong core, right? If we don't have a strong core, we're going to get lower back problems. I used to have, I used to have lower back problems all the time, even though I used to train core a lot, but I didn't train in such a systematic way, so the muscle groups I hit and you work, like 360. Yeah, and that's what I love about the core program. We actually designed that program from science. So we went to see, and we tested what are the best exercises you can do for your core. And I think, it completely surprised me even, when I first saw the product, I was like, oh, okay, because I think a lot of the mentality is crunches, that you have
Yeah, exactly.
doing all the crunches, and then you look at athletes and what they do, and they, lay on their back and do some crunches. But you can't do that for 30 minutes. I mean, there's just no way. So it's also training all the muscles around the core. And, that goes to your glutes and to your shoulders. And then obviously all the oblique muscles, the inner outer unit, everything. And a big focus on the posterior chain. So the postural muscles. And so you're actually training your body for life. And I think that's the key that we do with our programs. Even with pump, at the end of the day, it's light weights, high reps. Yes, that tension. So we talk about holding the tension, and that's about really working to the timing of the music, because if you can do that, that's going to maximize your workout. But at the end of the day, you're not being a big power lifter. It's nothing like that. It's actually just postural work. It's work that is our bodies need, because we spend most of our time sitting. That's the difference to centuries ago, when people used to do, walk every day and for hours and hours. It's just our lives are different now. So we need that work that's postural. And that's a big focus for our products. And I think, as I said before, it's find the thing that you like. If you like step, if you like going up and down a step and you feel like you always like that sort of feeling, then do that, and then supplement it with some of the postural work, like the core programs and the body balance, which gives you overall toning and shape. And we've got so many different things.
There is like dance and ballet and but like recovery, those stretching workouts I also love. You mentioned yoga, those martial arts I am like my favorites. And also what I love, you have also, different length. So for example, if you don't feel like doing full workout and you just want to do, I don't know, like 15, 20 minutes, you can do that.
Yeah.
And
so we put those together because we know that's important. And, the thing is, my big thing that I say to people is be consistent, even if it's 15 minutes, right? So even if it's some days I won't have time for a long yoga practice or body balance. So I'm often doing those hip ones on Lesmers on Demand are really great. Just the 15 minutes of hips, especially if you've been sitting at your office and doing lots of computer work, that is a great one. Or you just need to take a break. So, often in the office you get 15 minutes, go take morning tea. So it's like, just get off your chair and, plug it on and off you go. Just do 15 minutes of hips and you'll feel so much better. Sure. Maybe you do it before you sleep, it's going to make you sleep better. It's all those little things that you can do. And I think the Lesmers on Demand team do a great job of offering all those different mini workouts. I know they do some hybrid ones as well, which people love. And it's such a great community on the Lesmers on Demand is the other thing. I see so much support and, people feel like they belong to something. And I think as humans, that's what we all want. We want to feel like we belong to something and part of something. Yeah. And this is, really, really cool.
And I think, also, I just wanted to mention that you have a really amazing team, you yourself and all the other coaches, like you create this experience. Even when I just cast this workout, on my TV, I just feel like I'm a part of a team.
Yeah.
And it's such a great experience. You just, you feel like you're working together with the other people, trainers, and also people in the studio. And makes this whole experience so much better and more engaging and fulfilling.
Yeah. And I think that's, that's one of the beauties of team sports and why people love to do team sports. I think, a lot of us have done that as kids and, you're in teams, whether it's netball or football or whatever you're doing, soccer. And then as you get older, that stops. It's like, well, this can give you that feeling again of being part of a team and working towards goals, and having that, fitness should feel like brushing your teeth. You need to allow it to become a habit. And then, as I said, you actually become addicted to it. And, it's important to listen to your body. Some days your body will be tired. There's so many functions now that you can get. I have this Polar watch which tells me if I'm tired or whatever, which sometimes I ignore it. But today was a good day, and it came up saying that I was completely rejuvenated and ready to go. Yeah. So those things are really helpful as well. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'll be mindful of your time, Kylie. Thank you for sharing, your own story and the story behind Les Mills, the programs and the methods and science. To wrap it up, do you have anything additional to share with our listeners? I don't know, maybe some life lessons or some lifestyle or workout tips, anything to help people, to live healthier, fitter life, I guess.
Yeah. I think what I just mentioned before, I think that's really something that I've lived by, is to be consistent and try and do, so I often hear people sort of saying, I started the exercise or I started my nutrition plan and then I bombed out, and then sort of everything goes, they forget it. They sort of just don't want to keep going. And it's like, just try and be present, because if you're present in your body and your mind, you will make hopefully really good decisions. But if you are consistent with the work, it will just start to become a habit. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't matter how long you do a workout, or if you eat something that you shouldn't have eaten, you just get back on. It doesn't matter. It's like, okay, just keep. You've got another day or another few hours or whatever it is. It's trying not to. I think it's being kind to yourself is really the key. Because I do see a lot of people get really down about, get upset about this and yes, it is a priority. Your health should be the number one thing in your life. But be kind to yourself as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because it's also part of health.
Yeah, because that's so important. So it's when you have, just try and be consistent rather than being too rigid, I think, because if we become too rigid, then that's what yoga has taught me, is to go with the ebb and flow of life, and go with the ups and downs, because we're always going to have ups and downs. Yeah. There's always going to be ups and downs in your work, in your nutrition, in your fitness, but it's being able to roll with it. If you can have that kind of a little bit softer, kinder approach to yourself, then that will have that ripple effect, and it will also help all the people around you, the people that you love and are with, so that you have a more gentle approach and being more kind. So, I think that's definitely something that I've applied to myself. And so I know the effects of being kind to myself. I really look after myself and I put myself first, because if you don't have compassion for yourself, then how can you have compassion for others? Mm-hmm. That's kind of my thing. So I'm not scared to love myself. And I think that's so important, and I know for a lot of women as well, and for men, there's a lot of pressures out there in the world, of being this way or being a certain image or, living up to expectations. But at the end of the day, it's what we put on ourselves that matters the most.
Yeah, it's a great message to finish this podcast with. Self-love. If you invest a lot in yourself, you have so much more to give.
So, I think so. I think that's so important. So. Yeah.
Thank you again for all the stories, the message, and your work. Really appreciate it. And also, by the way, where do you want our listeners to go to connect with you, to learn more about your work, maybe Les Mills or your personal social media?
So I've got my my Instagram account, so Kylie Gates Fitness, and that has the link to all my coaching, and that has the link to lesmills.com. So you can have a look on the Les Mills On Demand. And if you want to reach out, I try and as much as I can, I try and respond to a lot of messages. So and I try and do, we through Les Mills, we often do, little Q&As and things like that. So through my Instagram account is the big one. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
So thank you so much for allowing me to share everything.
Thank you, Kylie, for your time, for your message. I really appreciate you and your work. And please do continue inspiring a lot of people. It really does help and matters.